Well, hello there. Welcome to the Writers Tribe Talk Show. I'm your host, Elsa Kurt, and today we have something fun that we wanted to do. I am hanging out virtually, of course, with two of my author friends, Deb Jarvis and Sophia Kelly Schultz. You'll remember them from previous interviews, and we thought it would be so fun, at least for us, to hang out and talk author life and, see what we come up with. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. I'm so glad you felt like doing this. It was a kind of a random idea, right? I don't know who threw it out there. I want to take credit for it. Can I take credit? I don't think it was me. I think it was you guys.
Yeah, I think it was. I think we said, we really ought to do the two of us.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Fine. I won't take credit for it. Jeez. All right. So here's what I'm thinking. As is obvious, my favorite thing to do with interviews is I love to hear about like everybody's process, their origin, where they started. So let me start with, just because it's the way it's on my screen. Let me start with you, Sophia. What do you think was the most difficult part of this whole writing process? Obviously with like your first book, going back to your first book, what was the most difficult thing?
Actually, the most difficult thing came in the second book because the first book wrote itself, and it was like, yay! And then the second book was like, so that's kind of my writer's journey for that. But were you talking about my book, or are we talking about Deb's book that we just finished editing?
Oh my gosh, either, both, all, like anything that you would find in it that challenged you more than you maybe expected. Was it in the editing process with Deb's book? Was that the most challenging?
That was pretty challenging. And I think that Deb sounded pretty challenging too.
That's funny. Deb, how about for you? Now that's a really crazy feeling to experience, to have someone handling your book baby and critiquing it and like telling you what they don't like about it or what they think needs to be changed about it. How did you handle that? How do you handle that?
Well, I think when we started, I was pretty grumpy, and Sophia will tell you I was resistant to change. And then as time went by, it became more evident that it was working really well to kind of say, okay, let's look at what she's talking about. Let's, dive into the wording and see what we can do to make it work, and flip some of the things around and say, okay, we've got this repetition, we've got this other thing. And about halfway through the first book, I think this is where Sophia and I decided, we got into the black edifice and just got into the argument about the black edifice. And from there, it worked a lot smoother.
Well, that was yes, the enormous black edifice was the character is injured and cannot see, and so you're getting this whole, and it's very good. It's a very good section, but first the floor was flagstone, and then it was stone, and then it was dirt, and so when they got out and she could see again, she looks up and it's this enormous black edifice, and I'm like, I thought it was a hut. I just wrote it. I thought it was a hut, and that was, I believe, the beginning of a beautiful relationship, because before that it had been tooth and claw.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Deb's forte is she's a line editor. She's an English teacher. She knows her grammar. She does all these things. And I'm like, word order. I like word order. This is not a good word order. You will fix it. And then you would go, no.
Well, and then we discovered too that sometimes the word order is different because of like regionality almost. Colloquialisms, things like that tend to play a big part in how we structure the word order. I know that the latest one that we kind of batted heads against was the phrase "to where somebody was doing something." And up here, that in New Hampshire, that seems to be, okay. I checked it with one of my other English teacher friends, and she's like, no, we use that up here, but it might just be that it's up here. So we do run into that kind of, okay, she's in Pennsylvania, I'm in New Hampshire. There might be some difference of phraseology.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that actually didn't cross my mind that could become an issue. That's okay. My dogs will probably start barking in a minute too. It's just
They're
dog
arguing
life.
over something. I don't know what.
Mine like to sing a fabulous song. It's really lovely. Yeah. But yeah, so that is a thing. So how do you handle it? What's the trick to that? Do you keep it or do you change it to something that would be like, I don't know, universal, but that's almost impossible, isn't it?
I think
Yeah,
we tend to concede on some, and one of us will concede on another, and we kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, I'll say, as editor, I'll say, you can have one of these, right?
And I might argue for more than one.
That's
Yes, right.
funny. So you guys have like bargaining that goes on when
Yes,
you're
yes.
all right. I want to stay with this for a couple minutes because I think your dynamic really entertains the hell out of me. Because your styles are very different, right? You have very different writing styles, would you say, from
Oh,
each
yeah.
other?
Mhm.
Yeah. And so just so everybody knows, Sophia, what type of work do you write? What genre do you write in?
Well, fiction wise, it's weird fiction.
Okay.
Weird.
Okay.
It's-
I like that. I want that as a subcategory, weird fiction.
It does exist. It does.
I think it does exist.
No
Jonathan
way.
Carroll, I think, fits
Yeah.
into weird fiction.
I had
Yeah.
no idea. That is
Yeah,
so cool.
because it's not really horror, even though the title is the archive horror. It's weird.
Yeah.
That's
And so, hopefully it's really weird, but let's see.
I
Deb
love
just got
that.
a link to it. So
Yes. So we'll be switching roles for a little bit.
yes.
Oh, that's exciting. Wait, so tell me
Taking
about
notes.
that. So now you're going to switch over. Deb is going to start editing for you.
Mhm. Yeah, she's gonna start looking at it. Yeah.
That is
Right.
exciting.
And as
Wow.
we said, our writing styles are very different. I tend to be more formal because I
Mhm.
teach English. So I tend to be a little bit more structure oriented and a little bit less, and not less free form, but, making sure everything is put in such a way that it's very clear what's going on, although Sophia might argue with me. Where I feel that what I've listened to of the archive horror, it's a lot more, it definitely has a lot more, almost like, I feel like it's more amoeba to my planaria. I don't know if that makes sense, but a lot more freeform, a lot more nebulous as to the way the tracking goes. If that makes any sense.
Interesting. When you do your editing, do you, this could be for both of you, do you do like read through and then do you do listening? Do you do like, what is it, like a speech to text type thing, or just one like a read through?
Well, I think a lot of times with Deb's book, we would start going head to head over something, and I would say, okay, let's read this out loud.
Mhm.
And then it would be like, oh, I'm wrong, or oh, you're right.
Yeah, I've discovered that with dialogue. They always say like, make sure you read your dialogue out
Mhm.
loud,
Mhm.
so you can see how it flows. And there are times where like, I thought a section of dialogue read so beautifully, and then I tried to say it out loud, and I was like, oh my God, you can't even get those sentences out without jumbling them all together. So yeah, the reading out loud is invaluable, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the sections of the archived horror have just been wonderful.
Oh.
And you get a lot of internal thoughts with the character. You get a lot of what's going on. And it flows very, very well.
Nice. Would you say that's Sophia's, like, that's her sweet spot there, dialogue?
I don't know if I'd call it the dialogue. I think it's just the flow. The flow
flow.
just works very well.
It's
Mhm.
also written in first person.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's totally different paradigm, as it were, that, you know, I'm constantly going, Deb, did you just switch point of views on me? You know?
Yeah, that's tricky. I have, I don't know if you guys have ever done this in a book, be, you know, I don't know, whatever, a quarter of the way through, maybe even halfway through, and all of a sudden decide that you need to change the tense, like the tense is all wrong. And then you have to go through that entire manuscript, whatever you've written, and like with a comb, with a fine tooth comb, and you always miss stuff. You always miss it. I've done that more than once, and you know, because it just happens. You think it needs to be written in, I don't know, present tense, and as you're doing a read through, all of a sudden you're like, no, this doesn't work. It doesn't work like this. Yeah, you're limited for one reason or another. Have you had to do that?
Well, I had to decide that my first person narrative gets split up between different characters.
Oh,
It's all carefully divided up now, which really actually helped a lot. I'm just trying to think what else, because I just went completely blank.
I do it all the time. That's my daily
Oh.
existence. I live like that.
My life is a blank sheet of paper. But yeah, so well, recently, while editing Deb's book, you know, you get thundering down the home stretch and you start thinking, I'm going to start looking for words.
Oh God.
Yes. And that turned into a real exercise.
That was an interesting time. Yes, the Smiling Shaman. Yes.
Oh, that's
I looked up smiling. Okay. I was just doing word search, and it turned out that the shaman was always smiling. And I'm like,
Pleasant fellow. So we made him a little more serious throughout.
Oh, that's right. Listen, maybe he was just a really happy guy. God.
I know. I mean, oh my God. You
I
know,
don't think anybody should be that happy, probably. So
No, not so much, huh?
But it's a serious little book here, you know, that she's written, little, you know,
little.
39 pages. But yeah, so, but I mean, really, I'm going to tell her about the most spectacular one.
Okay, go for it.
Last 4 pages. There's a magical door. She's drink. I want you to swallow first. She used the word,
I had to make sure
You're going to
all
talk
three
about
of us
the
were on
door. You're
screen.
going to talk about the door. Okay.
I am. And she used the word door 27 times in the last 4 pages.
It's a rough draft, remember? Rough draft.
Yes,
But we
fair.
fixed it. We fixed it.
She fixed it. She fixed it. She was like,
You know,
"Oh,
listen, it's so relatable because I had in more than one book, this has happened to me more than once. I had a deep affection for the doorway. Everybody was always in a damn doorway. And I was
It's
like,
a metaphor for people being not fully there. Yeah.
right? Yeah. It's like, and you know, that's a hard one too. It was for me because I think I was, you know, so fixated on it, apparently, I couldn't find my way out of the damn doorway ever. Yeah. That, and everybody sighed all the time.
Oh, that was the Deirdre
sighing.
sighed constantly. She does not sigh that much anymore. But that
No.
was like the horrible, oh my God, the amount of sighing we had to take out over.
I
See,
started
this is why I love this, because not only for us, but for anybody who's going to watch this or listen to it, they're going to go, oh my God, it's not just me. It's not just me. It's all of us. And, you know, between us, we have, you know, quite the bucket of books written. So, you know, we're we're not novices, and we still find ourselves doing these things. What's the other one there? I had a few of them. I had the doorway, I had the sighing, and I'm drawing a blank. I forgot what it was. You know, all the obvious ones, you know, lots of everybody was just doing something or just there. I couldn't get away from that. And I did the same thing you did, Sophia. I had to put that, you know, that search on, and that's such a great tool. I don't know, we might have talked about this before, but I don't know who uses Pro Writing Aid, but that, oh my God, Pro Writing Aid is a lifesaver. It's an add-on. You download it, you purchase it, and goes, do you use Microsoft Word, or are you Apple? Are you those fancy Apple people.
We are fancy Apple people.
Fancy.
But I use Word. I use
Okay.
Word. She's not.
I use
All right.
LibreOffice.
All right. Well, fancy pants. I don't know if I'm sure it does. Pro writing rate. Look it up. It is
Okay.
phenomenal. It goes through your document, and I mean, you can't just take for granted that everything it says is correct, because it's still
Right.
AI. It's not going to have things totally correct all the time, but it goes through for everything, and it's great for that first round before you send it off to your editor. Oh. I'm not attacking you here, Deb.
And my writing is pretty good, but there's always that idea that, okay, we've got the repetition. And I mean, I tell my students this all the time, and I tell them that I do it too, so that they don't feel quite so bad when I'm like, you had the word like time 5 times in that paragraph, right? And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll fix that.
Yeah.
So, I mentioned that this is something I do too, and that makes it more relatable, and the kids get a lot out of that.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. You said it right there. It's that relatability that takes away like the embarrassment that we, would and do feel when somebody finds our mistakes or overuses or anything like that. You're like, you feel so dumb. And then it's like, no, everybody does it. Everybody does it. Especially Deb, you made a great point too about it being, you'd said something about it just being the first draft. And I have to admit, I tell everyone, when somebody asks me writing advice, I always tell them, the first thing you have to do, like, they're like, how do you write a book? Well, the first thing is you sit down and write. Like, you have to sit down and write. That's the only way. And I don't mean to be snarky about it, but it's like literally the only way. You have to actually sit down and put the words on paper or, laptop, whatever the case is. But the thing is, you can't keep self-critiquing and self-editing the entire time. Like, you have to purge the story, right? I see you shaking your head over there. Purge the story. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't worry about overusage of words or anything like that. Just get the story out, and then you go back and you dust and vacuum and mop the whole thing up and get it in shape. So it's a valuable lesson, I think, that your first draft does not have to be anywhere near perfect.
And I tell that to my kids all the time. And, my English department is fond of saying writing is a recursive project. You're going to write it, and then you're going to go back over it, and you're going to catch something, and you go back, and then you might go a little further, and then you're going to go back. And, even if you do write it all the way through, you might have an idea and go, oh, I got to go back and put that in as you're writing the rest of the manuscript. And I think that's something that's valuable to know. And yeah, you do have to get it out. It does have to come out so that you can then go back and make it great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What, for both of you, what kind of writer do you think you are? Are you a pantser or a plotter?
Pantser. I'll have an idea and just kind of go with it. Sophia and I have talked about test trenches before, and I might have mentioned that to you.
Yeah.
Just the idea of, okay, I'm going to see if this has merit, and I'll write this, and I'll write this, and I'll write this. Okay, now we can write the story. And I don't really plot a ton out, although I did have to do that with book 3. We've got the kind of outline for book 3 because I have 2 parallel storylines going on, and I'm going to be going back and forth between them. So that's going to require a little more structure.
I wouldn't say that I'm a plotter completely, but I do. In the case of the archive horror, I definitely had to sit down and go, okay, it's July of 1985. What's happening? And you have, like, I actually toyed with the idea of making a spreadsheet that had, each character for for the chapter and like what each one was doing, because I have to be careful. We joke about casts of thousands, but
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I've always considered myself a pantser, but when I wrote a series, I had to have some kind of outline, something, otherwise everyone's eye color would be changing and their heights and their age, you know what I mean? There'd be no consistency whatsoever. So I did have to have a file for that. But it was funny, after like book 3, the characters became so familiar to me that I did kind of feel like I knew them by heart. It was things like street names and stuff like that. It's like, wait a minute, what street did that character live on? Random things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
You first.
Okay. What I was gonna say is, yeah, I kind of write off the seat of my pants, but when I'm doing a book and it requires research, then I'll go down the rabbit hole, making sure that I have all the information. So, I was talking actually with one of my friends in the department today about the book that I'm going to be editing next, which will be Demande. And that one, since it's set in Rome, and I might have mentioned this in the other interview, I had to go and actually do an awful lot of research. We ended up over in Rome because of the fact that, it just, well, we had some money come in, so we did it, but it was invaluable. And the amount of reading and research and books that I ended up digging through to get the information was necessary to make the story work.
Very
And
cool.
that's also what's going on with the archive horror, because it's
Map of London or the museum,
What?
you said, the map of the London Museum.
which I could not get. Not storage. They did not ever write me back. So I get to make it up.
That's fun too. Yeah, writing historical work is tricky, isn't it? Because accuracy is so important unless you're able to do it in such a way that it's very clear that you're fictionalizing something, and it's not real, because you know how readers can be sometimes, especially with fiction. I'm sorry, especially with history, they'll call you out. They're vicious. They're like, that's not right.
I have done a vast amount of research on the 80s but I also remember, what was going on, and and my savings grace for the museum stuff is my best friend who still works at the museum. So,
Nice.
yeah, so she like gives me little tidbits from time to time, and there's actually a line about burning incense in the storeroom, and that would just set off the smoke detectors, and the other character says there aren't any, and like, what? No, at that time there really weren't any smoke detectors in storage at that time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's
yeah.
the finer details like that, right? A little thing, and it could actually become like something big, right?
Oh yes. And the atmosphere, it's like instant atmosphere, just add memory,
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. What do I want to ask you next? What can we talk about next? Are we getting close to, oh my God, we're getting close to time. That's crazy. This went by way too fast. No fair.
Half an hour. You only gave us half an hour.
Yeah, I know. That's, you know
God.
what? I learned the hard way that once anything more than 30 minutes, people start tuning out. So rude, people. Just kidding. I totally understand. But all right, so let's see. Let's do this. Let's do our last question for this time, for this episode. I think we're going to have to do this again. There's so many things for us to cover. I'll start with you, Deb. What is the best advice you could give to an aspiring or new author? What would you tell them to do?
Yeah, and I think I've said that before. Don't give up. I mean, I started this in my teen years, evolved it in my 20s, typed it somewhere between 30 and 40, and here I am at 52, and now I'm finally getting the second book, which was originally, there was one and then we split it, so we're finally getting the second one out. So don't give up, even if it seems like, okay, I can't do this right now, put it on the back burner, but always come back to it, I think would be the thing. Don't give up on doing it. Don't give up.
Love that. Yeah, and don't throw away your manuscripts, right? Keep them, hang on to them, don't delete them, hang on to them, for God's sake. You need them because some point you might go back. Yeah, that's great advice. I love that. How about you, Sophia? What do you think?
Well, I think that it's really important to listen to your friends when they read something, but to not take everything they say to heart. That's the one thing that, people say, oh, I hate my writing because I hate my writing. And I'm thinking, are you writing for them, or are you writing for yourself?
Yeah, that's a great assessment there to have somebody make, like, who are you writing for? That's a good point. I like that a lot.
But I do have a quick set of rules, and I don't think it'll work. If I hold it up, it'll be backwards, won't it?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you don't mind reading it?
Yeah, because I wrote them down. I see. But it's
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, no, it is coming up
can
for
see
it, but
it.
that's okay. Yeah, we could, yeah. I must have done the inverted, I guess, or not inverted. I don't know. Authors, it's your baby. Time to push it out in the world. Editors, it's their baby. Sure, it needs you, but don't kill it. I love that. That's
Oh,
awesome. Yeah.
That's rule 1, because these are the things I have learned. Ah, yes, this is for you, Deb.
oh, thanks. The editors. Yeah, the author's already nervous.
Let's see. Oh, that's so funny. That's so true. And I was taught that and told that years ago for the first time that I worked with an editor. I was so anxious and stressed out about the whole process of it and what they were going to do and what they're going to change and what they're going to say. And it ended up being a fantastic experience, a great learning experience. So
This
you're
is
so right.
the most important one. Okay.
Let's see. Authors have a sense of humor. Authors have a, that's cute. I love it. My little pop-up just popped up and told me I had 10 minutes. How rude.
So that's the most important one, is to keep
Have
it
a
light.
sense of humor.
Yes, yes. And you two clearly do. You guys have such a great friendship and working relationship. And that's, you navigated something really tricky to be friends and working on a project like this. So kudos to both of you for being, I think I said that to you when we were out to dinner, but kudos to both of you for being able to do that, because I'm thinking, I'm going down the list of my friends of like who I could sit and do this with, what you're doing. I don't think any of them, I love them dearly, but I don't think I could take it. You know what I mean? So I love that. I think that's really cool.
I think, we have, I like how she's like wearing black. Aren't you wearing black? And I'm like,
I'm actually cold, so it's cold in
wearing
the house.
white.
It's better on.
They were like, and you're in gray. It's great. We're grayscale.
I know. Look at us. We didn't even plan it. We didn't even coordinate this. It's just natural. It's just a natural flow we have here. How fun.
So,
all right. What's up?
No, I was just saying that was the big one, was important to keep the sense of humor.
Yes. Oh, you're so right. That's so true. All right, you guys, you kicked ass. That was really awesome and a lot of fun. And I think we definitely do need to do this again. So the next time, and we'll pick like totally different topics for the next time. We're going to attack like something totally different. So we'll plan for that. And I look forward to it. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
it's fun.
All right, guys. All right. So thank you guys for joining us on this special episode of the Writer's Tribe Talk Show. It was a lot of fun for us. I hope you enjoyed it too. And we'll see you in the next episode. Take care, guys. You've poured your heart and soul into writing your book, and now it's time to promote it. One of the best ways to get the word out about your book is to snag author interviews, but they can be hard to come by for authors without a large following until now. The Writer's Tribe Talk Show is a growing audiovisual podcast dedicated to helping new, aspiring, and established authors promote their books. Become a spotlight author on the Writer's Tribe Talk Show, and you'll get up to 30 minutes of interview and promotion time, access to produced video and audio links for your personal and promotional use on any and all platforms, promotional graphics to promote your appearance, a Spotlight Author commemorative graphic for your website or social media. Become a Spotlight